Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for upleveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Refine and Shine. I am so excited because I have another amazing guest, and my friend Cindy, and she's just a godly person. I just love her, and one of her favorite colors is purple, which is mine as well. And so Cindy is a newlywed. She is a mom of 3. She's a stepmom to 3 more. She's a grandmother of 6. She was born and raised in Southern California. She's a small business owner of not just 1, but 2 successful businesses. She loves to work out. She loves the movies, going to the movies and taking long walks with her golden doodle, Leo, who is super amazing dog, very loyal to her. And for all you dog lovers, you guys know I'm a dog lover. And so anybody who loves dogs, like, they're my people. Anybody who loves Jesus is my people, and anyone who loves color purple.
Trifecta. Thank you so much for having me. And I mistakenly probably told you I had 6 grandkids, but I have 4.
Oh, 4 grandkids. Well, maybe there's more on the way.
Down the road, I already know there's going to be some waiting patiently.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Cindy, I just wanted, when I see you every day just shining brightly, you are somebody that I've connected to. And I just felt that you were a great person to have on here because you not only have 1 successful business, but you have 2. And I know that the journey of building your businesses was not always easy. So, your first business is in the daycare business. And can you tell me a little bit about how you started that business and how it's grown to be to what it is today?
Sure, I'd love to. So I feel like it was for sure the Lord was all over it. Just the way that things happened. I found myself married very young, 18 years old. Um, Unfortunately, divorced twice to the same person. So there was a lot, I mean, great friendship, but just, that marriage was over. So during our second marriage, had I was working for a company as in the credit industry, and that company was closing and moving to Tucson. So I was not going to do that. My husband was at the time was working here, and so I was I was getting ready to have my 3rd child, and I needed to make some decisions. And a group of my girlfriends, 2 other girlfriends, they were having children as well. another round of them, and they were saying, "Oh, you need to open up a daycare and watch our children. You're the only one that has patience." And it never even crossed my mind. So, backstory was during my first time divorced with him, I was in college, and I never really felt a calling to a career, to be honest. In high school, we had to go to a day where you pick a career day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing physical therapy, and I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. And they were saying they made good money and they enjoyed their days off, and so I just honestly made a really sporadic decision out of high school and said I'm going to go be a physical therapist. And I got really not great guidance at my JC, and then even in my university, unfortunately, because I was really frustrated. And then going through the divorce and whatnot, I was sitting in a chemistry class, and I had already registered to graduate with my bachelor's, and my dream was to transfer over to Loma Linda and then get my physical therapist license there. And I just couldn't grasp chemistry. I was a biology major, so there was a lot of chemistry in there. And I had that class and one more I needed to make up in the summer after graduation. They were going to let me graduate regardless, walk and then do that. My sister had her plane ticket out to come watch my graduation. Everything was enrolling. And I just had a moment where I was thinking, why am I doing it's not enjoyable to me. I got up and I left that class when it was over, and I withdrew from that class. And I went home and I told my parents, who were, helping support me at the time as a single mother, that I just felt like my wheels were spinning, and that I didn't feel like that's where I was supposed to be. And so I was going to just pour myself into my daughter more. I'd be up late at night studying, and she'd be up with me at midnight just to be with me, and it just would break my heart. And so I poured myself into that other job, which was a credit job, and I quit college 2 classes short of my bachelor's. And I never looked back. And the company I worked for, I made amazing friends, people that were put there for a purpose. My pseudo daughter's mother and I met there, and then she passed from cancer when she was 10 years old. And so I've helped raise her, and she lives with me, and she's now in law school. I mean, there's just so many layers of where I was supposed to be. So back to my friends, we were all having babies, and I needed to do something. So I took my severance package, and I just thought, okay, let me just try. But from 16 years old, I had always worked. I'd always clocked in somewhere. I've always worked for someone. And so I never even researched being an entrepreneur or owning a daycare. I just knew at that time I had 2 children of my own, and I loved it. And I loved my friends, and my one girlfriend who was especially persuasive. Her other daycare provider was now going back to school for special needs to be a teacher. And so she was no longer going to be doing daycare. And that's another little God moment, because she ended up fostering children. I ended up watching those children. She ended up passing away from breast cancer. And she was directly the reason, if she never decided to follow her path to be a special ed teacher, I would have never even started daycare, because she would have still had her daycare. So it was just all these moments. So I started my business. I didn't know what I was doing. My mother-in-law at the time helped me. Um, I was getting ready to have my son, and I started just watching children, and I just learned as I went, and I word of mouth pretty quickly. And I have been in business for 23 years, and never I have a massive waiting list at all times. So it just like grew exponentially. And in that time, um unfortunately, my husband and I divorced the second time. And after my son was born, probably 4 or 5 years after he was born. And so there were times when it was hard, going from 2 incomes to one. I was trying to keep my house, trying to keep my kids in their private school and their sports and things that were really feeling normal for them. And yeah, so it was a struggle at a point. There was a financial gap that I needed to fill. And
Yeah.
that's where my second business came in.
That's awesome. I love that you
It wasn't something that you felt you were good at, but it was something that or you didn't even think about it, but
Right.
everybody else who can see you can see that this was something that was meant for you. And that's
Yeah.
just amazing because, recently I got into, time management and, like, just coaching, and everybody's like, "You're really good at time management," and I've had already several courses that I've done, I have another group program starting up soon this week, and it's just funny, it's like something that you know that you didn't realize that you could do, like, you didn't but everybody else is like, "You should do this, you should do this, you should do this," and now you have a wait list, and when you talk
Absolutely.
about your business, you don't just, like, when I watch you, it's not just like watching kids. You do activities with them, you take them on walks, you have a good
Mhm.
curriculum. You're like a very hands-on keeping them. You're not like popping them in front of a TV and like, "Here, you're
Oh,
watching
no.
TV." Yeah.
Yeah. And, I did feel a calling early on in my life to foster kids, to be honest. But my ex-husband at the time did not. And you both have to be on board for that. And he just didn't feel that he didn't understand. He was like, we have kids whenever we want to have a child, we get pregnant. It's really easy. Like we were really blessed that way. We just, and I wanted a large family, but I just felt this calling to fostering. And I've, had many foster children actually in my care. And right now I have one that's going to be adopted. So I'm still getting my hands in there. But yeah, it's been such a ride. And just when I look back 23 years ago and today, just how much I've learned and just from just jumping in.
What's amazing is you said it's 23 years. Like most
Mhm.
people, most small businesses don't last within the next it's like 5 years and then they're done. You have 23 years. That's pretty impressive. And
Thanks.
you have a wait list
Yeah.
still to this day, and so that's awesome. And
Yes.
then your second business is on wellness and you
Mhm.
help people with their health. And tell me a little bit about why, I remember you share often the picture of you tired on the couch. So can you tell me a
Mm,
little bit about that program and or that second business and why you started it?
sure. So I honestly started that because of a friend that I met at that credit company. We had met a long time ago. She was a lot younger than me, and she would ask me advice about relationships and school. And, we had just like a work relationship. And then she had children, and then she recontacted me and said, "Hey, are you still doing daycare? I'm teaching at this high school up the street from you." And so that's where we reconnected. And then Facebook came along, and then I would see her journey. And then I actually looked at the products because my oldest daughter had severe eczema, and I didn't have the money for the products because, like I said, I was trying to, fill a financial gap. And but we do everything for our kids, right? Like I didn't even give it a second thought. I put the last amount on my credit card, literally the last amount I was checking. Do I have enough to make the charge go through? And I bought it for her. And that's how the products were introduced into our family. They worked, so she's been on them longer than me. And for me, I just didn't have a lot of things. I just thought they were age related, um, lack of energy and occupation. I'm on my feet most of the day, running around, the energy of the children. And I just figured that's how I was supposed to be. But also being a single mother, I felt bad because I didn't have that to give them by the end of the day. I was done, I was depleted. And so, and I had, just unhealthy, I didn't think unhealthy, but like diet soda and energy drink. There were things that I depended on that I know now are not normal. And when I started this health products, I just was like a whole different person. And it just spiraled into, people needing the product. So it ended up also not a business I wanted. My friend that I worked in credit for, she was like, "Oh, if you're going to buy it for two of you, you might as well start, And I was like, "No." And she's like, "I really think," I remember her calling and having several conversations with me. And I was like, "No, I just don't feel like I want to take my focus off the children. I can't take away from them. I make enough money," which I wasn't. I was making ends meet, but who couldn't use more, right? And
Mm.
I think it was a pride thing, maybe. Like I didn't want to admit that maybe I needed some help because my, marital status had changed. But I just was like, no, I just kept brushing her off, like, "Oh, I don't have time for that. I can't take away the focus of the kids." But what I learned is if it's important enough to you and you believe in it enough, you're always able to fit it in, miss time management, right? You always find the time and you always scheduled it in as a priority. And that's what I've done. And that's what has made that successful as well.
I think that's awesome, and the things that you shared about is that we do a lot for our children, but we don't do a lot for us, and we feel like we're gonna take things away from ourselves, but in reality, what we have to do is make sure that we also take care of ourselves, make sure that we take the time, do the things that we need to do for ourselves because we cannot pour from an empty cup. In fact, even Jesus rested,
Yeah.
and he also said no to things that did not serve him, and so we gotta learn how to, use him as an example. But one of the things you had said that you weren't working, the energy was depleting and everything, and
Mhm.
now I see, I mean, just reading your bio, you love to go on walks with your dog, you love to
Yes.
work out, you're very consistent, and so how does that changed with your priorities and everything? And I know that the wellness products you take have helped, but you've also shifted your priorities. And how has that helped you as a person?
Sure. So when I the year before I turned 50, so when I was 49, my girlfriend was starting to work out with this trainer, and I have always told myself the gym isn't for me. That was the lie I was telling myself. I tried it once on my first divorce. My sister bought me a membership to try to make me feel good, and I just was like in such a bad place that I was a single mom with a new baby, and I wasn't giving her my time. I was at a gym and I didn't know what to do. And so this trainer came in and she really changed my perspective on, well, first of all, she told us what to do. So I didn't have to think. So it worked with my schedule. It was in the evening and I could just go there and turn my brain off and she'd tell me what to do. And I felt so good. But the week before I started that journey, my father passed away. And I remember telling him, like, sorry,
I know. It's okay.
I remember just telling him that I was going to start this journey, and he was so proud of me. And it was literally the week before, I mean, days, and he passed away. But I remember being so proud of myself because that was the biggest reason. I mean, he was my person in life, it was the reason I should have quit starting something new and just being like, I can't do it right now because this is going on. I need to be here for my mom. I need to, you know, focus on this. And instead, I continued because I remember him telling me, like, that's amazing. He was excited for me. He's like, oh, you're going to have to flex for me soon when you start getting muscle, just being silly. And I remember thinking, I have to do this, like, for me right now more than ever. Like, start this new journey and make that time for myself. And so I did. And she taught me, ended up being, I told her a year and I ended up being there 2 years. And the only reason I switched from her is just as I'm getting older, like my knee and just the heavy weights, I needed something different. So now I do like a different workout that's better for me right now. And it just got me in such a good habit. I just needed the right person to teach me
Mhm,
that I do love it, that it's okay to take that time out for myself, schedule it in,
mhm.
and make myself a priority because I love the way I feel. And I didn't do that my whole, you know, time being a mom because I couldn't. I really probably didn't have the time, but I still could have done other things, right? And so now I schedule it in. I mean, I have way more flexibility because my kids are all grown and gone. So I just, have me and my husband, and I schedule it, and he's so supportive about every single thing in my life. So he's like my cheerleader. Oh, you're gonna go work out. Oh, just so perfect. And so I do. I'm committed to working out. Like 4 days a week. I also walk my dog in the morning and the evening. Um, because in the morning I do it like listen to my Bible and I walk him. So it's like walk and talk to me. Like I'm getting fed and then I'm moving my body. That's like my time to start up before the day. Even if I go work out before the kids come, I still will do some kind of walk with him and do my Bible just so I need that too. I need to be fed that way. And boy, all that together has made such a difference. And including um the children in our days, like including being active in their life as well. I want to teach them good habits. So their nutrition, they do fun. They ask to work out. They come and they're like, "Hey, Auntie, what are we gonna? Are we we're exercising?" You know, they just love it. It's not like a bad thing. It's like such a good habit to instill in them, and we need more of that because there's a big shift with our children, and I'm telling you that from someone that's been raising them for 23 years. Um, get outside, move your body, and eat good while you're here. They know those things are going to happen. So
I love that. And you talked about just a couple of things. I mean, you talked about many things, but it just made me think, is moving your body. You start your morning routine with feeding your not just feeding your body spiritually, but you move your body to get it awake, to get it ready. You set yourself up for the day, and then you make sure that you have a good evening routine by making
mhm,
sure that you spend some time working out, you schedule it in, and you also communicate it with your spouse. And I think that's one of the things that people get so angry and they're like, "Oh, my spouse isn't letting me do this." Well, you got to communicate it with them and make
mhm,
them understand, and then that communication is key. But you got to have the right partner to make sure you're communicating with, and I think that's also
absolutely,
important. I
absolutely.
started a habit recently. I changed jobs recently, and I'm flying back and forth, and so it's really hard to get the workout in like I used to. I used to walk the production plant and easily get 5 miles a day, but it's different now. And so I
Yeah,
told my husband, like, I really want to start walking, making sure I get my 10,000 steps a day. So even last night, he's like, where are you at? And I'm like, I'm about 2 miles away. So he's like, okay, let me change my shoes and just walked with me. And we just walked and talked and
that's
walked and
great.
talked. And
Love that.
it's just, making sure you have the support. And I know that not everybody has the support, but even if you don't have the support, one thing you do have is you have one life to live, and you got to make sure you're making the time for yourself because like we've said, if you don't take time to take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. And I think that's so important. You're also
Absolutely.
instilling the habits, and I love that you're doing that with the children because you're starting them young, and I think that's so important.
Mhm. And it's just like you said. I mean, in life, there's going to be shifts, right? And the reason I brought up my father is that moment in my life. My first granddaughter was born not even 2 months before he passed away, and so it's like handing the torch over, right? And at that moment, I was like, "Bam, Cindy, you have to be here a- as long as you can for your family, for my mother, for my own kids, my grandkids." Like, he unfortunately had issues from the Vietnam War, from Agent Orange, that it wasn't nothing he did, but you know, I'm gonna we can control so much. And I'm just thinking like, oh, I need to really bog down and focus, and not just being here on earth, being active, being the one on the ground with my grandkids, like feeling good. Like, my granddaughter is 4 and she's heavy. Every time she sees me, she wants to run to me and jump in my arms, and I want to be able to keep doing that for like as long as possible. You know what I mean? And as we age and change, even my husband, we used to bike ride a lot together. We love to walk together, walking talks, same thing. However, he's a very tall man and he has knee issues now, so he needs surgery. So for him, he's more like weights at home, not doing he can't really do those things with me right now. So we have to just find ways to do things together, whether it's like go swim somewhere, something easy on him, or lift weights here together, and hopefully down the road be able to do some walking or biking again together. But yeah, you have to pivot, right, when things change in life.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things, like, my husband doesn't really like he lifts weights here. I don't like to use the gym here at the house. Because you have to it's like so many cables and disconnect and all the things.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
so then what I do is I take the time, and a couple of times a week, when I can, I go with my son, and he'll like go to the gym with me, and I do the same routine he does, except I can't do as heavy weights as him, but it's just
Yeah,
spending that time, communicating with them and just spending that time like meeting them where they're at and making
yeah,
sure that you're taking care of yourself. And so I think that's so important. Um your father, I never got to meet him, but I know he was an amazing man, and he served our country. I believe he was a Marine, correct?
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah, yeah. It
I
was amazing.
he was an amazing man, and
Mhm.
just all the stories you shared, and even I got to meet you, know you a few months before he passed, and just the videos that you guys would do together. and stuff. And I love that, like he's your why, like he's the one that you refer back to. And you just recently posted, I think that, like how it's been, you thought it was only gonna be 1 year and then, now it's two, and how
Yeah.
you're just like focusing on that and making sure that you're taking care of yourself because like we always say, tomorrow's never promised. And everybody always says, well, tomorrow I'll start, or tomorrow I'll do this, or tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and it's like, well, next month or Monday, I'll start on Monday. So I think that's amazing. I admire you because I've seen you just going from just showing your habits and how you've increased your habits, to be positive for your not only yourself, but for your family. And life isn't always easy, but your kids are, have been, grown up to be amazing. They've been, you've raised them well. Um, one of your daughters is what, in law school right now, and your son is doing amazing. And he's had an incident that happened a couple of years ago. And when that could have destroyed you and destroyed your habits, I think that made you even more stronger in, making sure that you're taking care of your health as well. What would you say?
Absolutely. And absolutely. And him too, because he picked up working out habits when he would see me. And then that's why he recovered so well. And then afterwards, he was told, you're going to need to do this repetitive in order for this to happen. And that's all he had to hear. And he was every single day just pushing himself. And yeah, he's a walking testimony too. And he knows it, it's for so many reasons, but he's, yeah, he still works out. His girlfriend works. They have great relationship and good, healthy habits together too, which I love.
Yeah, I love that. So, um, what would you like to share with my listeners? I mean, you talked about like talked about habits and everything like that, but what's one thing you would like to leave my listeners on, my subject, my theme is like how we can refine and shine in our lives. And you talked a lot
Mhm.
about that. But maybe a dare or a call to action for them?
I would say it has to do with what you just mentioned. Actually, we're so in sync with certain things. I always tell people just to jump in right when they say like they don't have time or it's someday, right? Along with that, I would say to live, and I really mean this just because of my everyday life, to live boldly like a child, like to take notes from them. And I tell people this because I'm with them all the time and they rub off on me. Just you think like a child, like they embrace curiosity, right? They take risks all the time and they explore and they're ready for like new adventure and challenges. And without the fear of failure or without judgment. They don't fear those things because they haven't lived long enough to know that that's part. But if we can just kind of get back to like a childhood mindset, it's it's so empowering and it really changes my mindset, my perspective on life. It has been the biggest lesson to me because I'm infused with them and their knowledge as little children of those things I just mentioned, how they just do everything without fear almost, and boldly. And we could learn from them because we were all those children at one point and then we just started learning like, oh, I can fail, I can that. But if we can get back and just like absorb some of that from them, it really is such a great lesson to me anyway.
No, I love that. And there's a couple of things you hit on is like the fear, like we have a fear of failure. And you know what? It's okay to fail,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
it's just what are the lessons that we can learn from those failures? Like how can we pivot or, reshape things? And, failure, if we're just focused on failure, like that's not good enough. Like the Bible says, be not afraid, what, 365 times? So we can
Yeah.
practice that every
Yeah.
day. Be not
Uh,
afraid and just live boldly.
right, right. Yeah,
And then
and it's okay to, that's what I try to teach the children too. Like, oh, it didn't work this way. Oh, it doesn't always. Okay, so what can we do next? And problem solve with them and like speak to them that way. And they'll be like, you know, figuring it out on their own. But they're not like, never doing it again. Oh, I'm not walking over there again because so and so, you know what I mean? Like they just, okay, keep going, keep going.
no, I love that. And then the other thing that you said, like You talk about it a lot. You talked about how you schedule this, you schedule
Mhm,
that. Your days with your daycare are structured. And once we become adults, like we don't want to live to a schedule, but you know what? We were born to live to a schedule. And just like our animals, we put our animals on a
mhm,
schedule. It makes the life so much easier. It takes the guessing out of how to do things, like you said with your gym. Once you had a trainer who told you what to do, it took the guesswork out. You knew it was scheduled, you knew how to do your routine.
mhm,
And we can't be at the point where we're just like, I don't want someone telling me what to do. You know what? Sometimes we need that, and that's going to help us. And if we don't have that lifestyle, like we are so like, I don't want people to say, tell me to do this, tell me to do that, then we do nothing.
mhm. Oh,
Right.
yeah. And children especially, I mean, they thrive on routine. And I just think we people do too normally. And like what you do, I think if you can just help them set up a structure of routine, I mean, no, it doesn't have to be so rigid, but it just makes things run so easily, and pockets of time that you didn't know you had, you have. I was just talking to my pseudo daughter, the one that lives with me that's also in law school. She um was a time waster, and I told her all the time, you're not going to be able to do that when you start law school. I'm just letting you know. And she started, this is her second week, and I looked at her today and I was like, what is one thing that you've noticed? Man, I was a time waster. I was like, I know I would go to the gym and stuff, but I was like, what was I doing with all my time? Now I have this and this and this and this. And I was like, yeah, I mean, enjoyed it while you did it. But I mean, there's just people, it's just like with money, right? The more you have, the more you spend, the more time you have empty, you just, you don't do anything, right? You do have to be, and I feel like children a lot of time too are, um, maybe it's a learned thing. I haven't really figured it out, but self, propelled, or like, because they just boom, right? They're very assured of their self, and then if you have them in the right environment, then you can just cultivate that and like keep encouraging that, and it just does amazing things. I love my children stay with me a long time too, through like junior high. So I see them through school and how they do academically. Maybe not the smartest person in the class, but I mean, they usually do very well, but also the ones that can get up there and speak, and that the ones that are helpful to others, and just the whole lesson that they're learning, um, by things that they're being nurtured here, is just like the biggest reward. Just love it.
Well, the thing about your daycare is how you do it. Like you give them the opportunity to speak too. You give them an opportunity to do presentations. It's like you do like in just having the relationships. You involve them with like making the snacks and making like you
Mhm.
involve them with so much that you're teaching them habits that we need as adults and
Sure,
giving
life
them that
skill.
power, so to speak.
Absolutely, absolutely, so important, because some aren't even like a lot of children nowadays. I feel like aren't seen a lot of times, even
Mhm.
in their own home. And I'm not talking this about my daycare parents. I really love them, and I interview them, so I make sure that we're like on the same page before I do business with them. But just what I see in the world and out and about, and what I hear, I just feel like a lot of children aren't seen, and or they just have devices and stuff in front of them. So it's
Mhm.
just a whole different relationship building now with people. So
I like I was gonna say devices too. It's like most parents, and it's, they just parent by device instead of, having a conversation, sitting down at the table and doing things with their kids. One of the things that we did when we were raising our children who are now adults is when they became about my son was 16, 17, my daughter was about 13, 14. We made them responsible for making dinner, but not only making dinner like they made dinner a couple times a week during the, school year, but during the summer, they would get like, say it was $100 for the grocery list. They'd have to go to the store. They'd have to at least make 4 nights worth of dinner, buy it, and then whatever was extra was for them. But, that made them, one, responsible with
that's good.
money, learn how to budget, learn how to meal plan, and, till this day, like, my daughter doesn't live at home anymore, but she'll come over and my son and her, like, still hug each other, still appreciate, like, still that bond is still there
Mhm, mhm.
because we made sure that they spent that time doing those things together. And I think, instead of like, hey, you go to your room, you go to your room, don't interact. We made them do things, and it's hard. Sometimes it was hard raising the children at times. My husband has a mental health issues, and so my kids sometimes had to grow up and had to learn how to help me with things because
Right.
I was, sometimes it felt like a single parent. Um,
Mhm.
but it made them so much stronger, and, like, I see what they have and what they've been able to accomplish, and then I see other children or parents, similar to my kids' ages, or, and the kids are just kinda lost in a way. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I was a perfect
No.
parent. Kids have no
Yeah, but I know what
issues.
you're saying.
Yeah, it's just that you just gotta take time to just love and help your children learn how to be, functional in the adult world so that when they're going out there in the
Absolutely.
adult world, they can have conversations with people.
Absolutely. From day one, you have to do that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So good.
So, is there anything else you'd like to talk about right now? We've had a pretty good conversation.
Yeah, we did. No, I mean, I'm just very happy to be here. Thank you. This is really good. And I love your podcast. Refine and Shine. What a great name. I mean, excellent. And I just love what you're doing and helping people really, bring their own journeys to help each other. Really. We're in this together, right?
Right. Yeah, so many times I thought about not doing it because I had waited so long, and I was like, when it first came to me, it just wasn't timing, and I just gotta,
Mm.
it's all about God's timing and when things work out. It may not always be our timing, but if God puts something heavy on your heart, you just have to go with it and figure out how it can make it work. And so I'm very thankful, and I've met some, like, amazing people that are gonna have on the show pretty soon, or I've already had and I haven't launched yet. But it's been fun. I love
Good.
sharing stories and sharing businesses and sharing people's stories that, maybe you never, like, when I saw, like I said, when I saw you presenting for the city about your business, and I was like, Cindy is an amazing person. She's a
Mhm.
business person, she's driven, you know, you're a woman that loves God, you love the color purple, so I was like, I need
Mm.
to, like, have
Yeah,
her on here.
there's another one. There's another reason. Oh, let's do
Mhm.
it. Let's do it. No,
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, that
yeah.
was really fun. That was a great moment too. And I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you letting me come on here and having this conversation with you.
So for my listeners, I mean, I know that your daycare is booked, but I will can leave the links on your Instagram. Is that the way that you would love them to follow you if they would just want to share and just
Sure.
follow you for your journey? Okay.
Yeah, we could leave Instagram, and then I have a Facebook daycare page too.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. All
So
right. Well, thank you. I
thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Me too.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fill your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind the scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.